The World Affairs Council of Northern California is committed to engaging the public in the exploration of international affairs. The Council Schools program gives students the unique opportunity to meet with heads of state, ambassadors, and the academic experts who visit the Council. The following video is taken from our year-long Student Ambassador Leadership Group. Students were asked to take on the role of a country or group to discuss the effects of climate change and propose solutions. What they found was an incredibly diverse set of needs, perspectives, and obstacles to tackling climate change. Their solutions only represent a fraction of the answer, but the following presentations by the young leaders demonstrate that they are thinking broadly and are actively engaged in addressing some of the world's most pressing issues.
The topic was where the head of state of a national government in a wealthy country with a highly educated populace who have a strong dedication to green issues and the environment. So one thing we've really taken with this topic is taken the example of the United States, which seems to have the same kind of persona going on, which is the populace seems to be going toward a green trend, but maybe it hasn't come to the government's level yet, which is a commitment we're going to try to take now.
All right. So I'd like to start with economic viability. And as a country with significant resources and also with popular public opinion about about environmental issues, it's kind of necessary for us to, first of all, have environmental resources and technologies and research be economically viable for us as well as other countries. So I'd like to just address that. Alternative energy exists in dozens and perhaps hundreds of forms, from hydrogen fuel cells to wind turbines. Our country has the resources and commitment necessary to implement a wide variety of renewable energy projects of varying efficiency and cost, though developing nations may not have that opportunity, or at least think that they don't. That's what I'd like to address: the economic viability of renewable, or at least clean, sources of energy. And there are 3 points that I'd like to discuss. 1. There are economically feasible renewable energy resources. 2. Pollution from nations without clean technologies can be detrimental to economies. And 3. Legislation, especially a carbon tax, can be implemented as a low-cost way of gathering lots of funds to support environmental protection. One example of a cost-efficient energy resource is tidal power. Tidal power is becoming more and more popular due to its small ecological footprint and low cost. And there are 2 types of tidal power: tidal stream system and barrages, which I believe is how it's called, how I believe it's pronounced, I'm not really sure. So there are some environmental concerns about barrages, so we will ignore them. Tidal stream systems work much like wind turbines, except wind is replaced with water. Right away, we see a benefit of using tidal power: water. Water is 832 times as dense as air, which means that moving water has more momentum than air and can generate more power. There is one turbine tech in particular that's getting lots of attention, called a shrouded turbine. They are 3 to 4 times as efficient as current turbines. They are being tested currently and constructed in the Bay of Fundy in Nova Scotia. Clean Current, one of the 3 turbine companies testing in the area, claims that their turbine can produce 400 gigawatt hours of electricity in a year. 1 kilowatt hour, or 1/millionth of a gigawatt hour, costs about 10 cents in the United States, which means that 400 gigawatt hours would equal about $40 million in electricity. Of course, this is at maximum efficiency, which is generally not realistic, but one could expect greater than 50% efficiency, or $20 million in power per year. However, the cost of water turbines is not cheap. The new Nova Scotia facility that connects the turbines to the primary power grid has an estimated cost of $12 million, while each turbine has a construction and installation cost of between $10 and $15 million. That means that the highest possible cost of construction for one usable turbine is about $27 million. This may seem like a lot, but the cost would be more than paid off in 2 years, considering if you have at least $20 million in energy per year. And it's generally seen that the efficiency of these turbines can exceed 60 and 65%. Not only that, but oil companies worldwide are looking to improve their public persona as eco-enemies. As you'll know, BP has launched a major environmental friendliness campaign. There are also wealthy environmental-geared countries and environmental philanthropists that would be willing to donate to such causes. This is just one example of an alternative energy source that has true economic and environmental potential. Technologies such as the previous one may seem fantastic. They are clean, cheap, and efficient. However, some may think that the upfront costs and economic ramifications outweigh the benefits of green technology projects despite the environmental and economic pros. They could not be more wrong. Take China, for instance. According to a World Bank study that was recently conducted in 2007, pollution in China cost the nation an estimated $100 billion per year, or 5.8% of the gross domestic product. China's estimated GDP growth in 2007 was estimated at 11.4%. If you subtract 5.8% from that number, you get a 5.6% growth rate, roughly the same as Slovenia, Kuwait, and Guatemala. Not only does its growth rate become less than impressive, but pollution in China accounts for 750,000 premature deaths per year. In a recent Cornell study, researchers found that contamination of water, air, and soil leads to 40% of the planet's death toll, which means that 62 million deaths per year can be attributed to pollution. World Bank also estimates that the average yearly GDP, or income per capita in the world per person, is $10,252. If you multiply that by the number of deaths, premature deaths due to pollution, you get $620 billion per year. That means that in 1 year, $620 billion is not being circulated in the world economy. In a decade, that number is 6.2 trillion. And that doesn't include benefits or stocks or any other sort of investment. So we've established that there are economically feasible options to reducing greenhouse gases and creating clean energy. We have also established that pollution severely hinders economic growth and results in millions of deaths per year. However, in order to enact widespread environmental change, the public has to be involved. That is where legislation such as carbon tax comes into play. In the United States, the Carbon Tax Center, a group that supports a national hypothetical carbon tax, has determined theoretical rates for higher carbon emissions. They suggest a hypothetical tax per million BTU of fuel. Like 4 minutes left per.
Yeah, 4 minutes left.
For the whole group? Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. All right. Basically, all right, so I'll shorten this down. A million BTU is about 8.6 gallons of gasoline, and each citizen burns 600 gallons of gasoline per year. So you basically get $74.65 per person if you were to enact a carbon tax of $1.07 per million BTUs, which isn't very cheap, and people also support it. In fact, there was a poll that said 59% of people favored it, while 34% opposed it when the funds would go to supporting global warming. Sorry for taking so much time. Wow.
That's great. So we're heads of state of a wealthy country. We have shown that it's economically feasible for our country to invest in alternative fuels. We want to invest in research for more technologies and support in like big business and industries this kind of great change. But large-scale action to combat climate change must include this, but it can't happen without the critical lifestyle changes by individuals. Our educated population is already aware of climate change and its devastating consequences, but they might not yet be taking action. We will support the many NGOs and government programs working toward increasing awareness about the issue and how to make such changes as switching to energy-efficient compact fluorescent light bulbs. This simple act may seem insignificant, it is often overlooked, but according to EPA estimates, if 20% of the United States changed 5 100-watt light bulbs to equivalent CFLs, or compact fluorescent light bulbs, it would save almost 47 trillion pounds of CO2 from polluting the atmosphere, as well as almost $3.5 trillion in energy costs for consumers. CFLs epitomize the kind of easy lifestyle changes that make a huge difference, and which education campaigns and government rebate programs and subsidies to make green technologies cheaper would encourage. All citizens can make a huge difference in their home energy use and transportation. Other small changes could include more recycling of household waste, combined with encouraging increased production of recyclable packaging, switching to Energy Star appliances, low-flow shower heads, reducing unnecessary water use, and buying locally grown and organic foods, and bigger changes like driving less, which the government could encourage by supporting bike-friendly and safe walking paths, as well as like subsidies and stuff. Energy use in homes is also a major issue. Unplugging electronics when not in use can save huge amounts of energy. The U.S. Department of Energy reports that in the average home, 75% of the electricity used to power home electronics is consumed while the products are turned off. It's like the phantom load. Still, much of this electricity comes from fossil fuels, what homes do use.